We're rolling into week 7, and today we're going to go game by game, matchup by matchup. Look for those must starts. Look at those players in that matchup that could go boom for us. On top of that, we're pretty much going to be talking about every fantasy football player in this space, so you get a good idea from a quick perspective of what to do with these players. But most importantly of all, if you have a lineup question, a start-sit decision you're having trouble with, ask it in the comment section below. Saturday night, somewhere between 10 midnight or so, I'll answer them all, one by one. That being said, just drop those right now, and you also need to click that subscribe button right now because we're using these videos to help you set your lineups. On top of that, we go over the waiver wire extensively, and we're doing multiple deep dives a day on these trending players so you can get the advanced analytics, different strategies on how to use that player for your fantasy team or different formats. That being said, click that button right now, and Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint him. But we're going to start off with the Patriots and Jaguars. 42 over under. This is going to be an interesting matchup here. We got Travis Etienne out. Tank Bigsby should be getting the workload. I think a lot of people are going to fire him up in lineups. And we're looking at Brian Thomas Jr. He missed last week, so we're kind of due. He's been doing very well this year. He has been a top-tier rookie wide receiver, and I look for him to be more consistent. I look for him to be a good value here for this week. He's the deep threat, and you're always just going to take your shot on him. There's going to be some fantasy gamers who have a lot of good wide receivers because they went 0 RB and now they got to make those decisions. Plus, Brian Thomas was at a good discount in the draft around 7th, 8th, 9th round, depending on where you were drafting at. That being said, you're going to have some good receivers. You're probably going to have Brian Thomas. You're going to have to make some decisions here. This could be a slower game. That being said, he's got upside to score big. We're looking at the run backs. That means the other team. Rhamondre Stevenson's practicing. Looks like he's going to play. He's just questionable right now. Gibson, if he's out, but you're not loving it either. But running backs can score fantasy points against the Jaguars. This is a very favorable matchup for either running back that's getting the workload. Drake May, we're watching him again, but he was the QB 12, depending on the format you're playing in fantasy production last week. He's going to run it a little bit. He's very aggressive with the ball downfield. Something to pay attention to. DeMario Douglas looks like the guy getting the targets. Going to get a 20+% target share. Kayshon Boutte is the prospect to watch in this game. He could be lighting it up. He could be that player that comes out of nowhere. He went off last week, got some production, ran a lot more routes. We're watching Kayshon Boutte. We got the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. And the easy thing to say is you're starting everybody. You're starting everybody. Where you got a over-under of 50.5. Of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Of course, Gibbs and Monty, or Gibbs versus Monty, either or what you want to do there, but they're both going to have opportunities in this matchup. Jameson Williams going to stretch it downfield. We always like some JMO. It's up and down. It's a little volatile, but in a matchup where it's 50.5 over under, where you see the game script getting pushed, you're going to be looking his way a lot of times. Sam Laporta has been down this year, but most tight ends have been down this year. That being said, you're probably going to look at him in this matchup. Run backs on the other team, Justin Jefferson, because he's Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, the wide receiver 2 on the offense, should be getting a little bit more run considering the ball's going to be flying more in this game. Aaron Jones, we're watching if he's going to be in this game. If he's going to be in, then you're probably going to fire him up, but you're not going to feel too confident about it. Ty Chandler, if Aaron Jones is in, might get a few extra touches. He's got the speed to house it on any given touch. Could be a guy to play with in deeper leagues or daily fantasy football, considering you're going to be making some stacks with these lineups and you want to somehow make it contrarian. That being said, Houston Texans, Green Bay Packers. You're starting a lot of players in this game as well. Stephon Diggs, hot. Joe Mixon was hot last week. Tank Dell can be volatile, but he's going to get more opportunities. Dalton Schultz, expect him to get 5+ targets in this game, and where it lies in fantasy production, we'll have to see. Run backs on the other team, Jayden Reed's looking healthy, so he should be back on the field, should be getting target share. Josh Jacobs for the touches right now because it has not been looking good. Doubs, Watson, Melton, Wicks, pick your poison. It's the carousel effect for the Packers wide receivers. Either one of them can get it. Doubs runs a lot of routes. Watson's getting the deep ball. Wicks can create separation, but he'll have some miscues on the drops. Melton's got speed to burn, but it's not running as many routes. Doubs and Watson are your mainstays here in the carousel effect, but with how the ball flies in this offense, it could go anywhere when it comes to fantasy production. Titans and Bills, You're not really looking at the Titans' way because you don't trust Will Levis, you don't trust the quarterback play, you don't trust Mason Rudolph, and you're looking at Tony Pollard. He's the only thing consistent in this offense just because he's explosive. He's a good running back. He's very efficient with the ball in his hands considering what he's dealing with. D-Hop versus Calvin Ridley, and you may not like that situation because you're going up against the Buffalo Bills, and with the Buffalo Bills on the run backs here, James Cook versus Ray Davis. James Cook looks like he's back. How are the touches going to look like? Khalil Shakur has been the man in the offense, but is the ball going to be flying on the Bills' side? Is there going to be enough pass attempts? Keon Coleman versus Mac Hollins. Either one of these wide receivers could get it. They're deep threats. They're contested catch plays. They just have to bring in like 2 deep balls, and they could be all right for you in fantasy, but they're not consistent plays, more for deep leagues. Amari Cooper, how many routes is he going to run this week? Is he going to get that opportunity? That was up in the air when we were looking at the practice clips. Is he going to get that run? How much run? Bengals and Browns. And this one could be an ugly one, but we're looking at Jamar Chase because he's Jamar Chase. T. Higgins getting those deep targets. Should be pushing a 20% target share. Should be getting a good 8-0. Chase Brown has been electric. He's been looking good. Zach Moss. Just old dependable, but not dependable in fantasy, but he could cross the goal line. That's what you're always hoping for with him. Mike Gesicki, a tight end who's getting opportunities and targets, and you just got to let the chips fall where it may with that because he's a tight end, and tight ends are volatile. Run backs for the Browns. Jerry Jeudy is going to soak up volume with Amari Cooper out. Elijah Moore should be getting more volume. David Njoku, more volume in this offense. This is going to be an experiment game for these pass catchers. Nick Chubb back. We're watching, we're rooting, we're not expecting much for fantasy football, but 3 carries, 30 yards, you're going to be happy. Eagles versus Giants, 42.5 over-under here, but this is a game script that could blow wide open for fantasy production. You got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you're looking at both. Saquon Barkley, the 3 hosses in this offense you're looking at. Grant Calcaterra, if you're hurting a tight end, might get some looks. He's a good tight end prospect. On the Giants side, Malik Nabers, Wan'Dale Robinson, those are the 2. And now you got a running back battle, Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. Tyrone Tracy has the upside. Let's just hope the Giants do the right thing. Seahawks versus Falcons, 51 over-under. You're starting everybody. You're starting everybody. In deeper leagues, you're even starting the ancillary players. Ray McLeod, if you're hurting, you're looking for a wide receiver, he should get 5+ targets. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, you're starting those guys more than likely in your leagues. Tyler Algier, if you're in a deeper league, or if you're really hurting at running back for a hope and pray situation. Kenneth Walker, you're starting. And you're also starting DK Metcalf. You're flipping a coin between Tyler Lockett and JSN due to the production, but it could break wide open enough where they both be productive. Zach Charbonnet might get enough workload where he hits 10 fantasy points, but that's only if you're hurting at the running back position. Dolphins at Colts. This game's ugly. You're not going to trust any players for your lineups, but you might have to start 1 or 2, and you might get lucky with 1 or 2. Anthony Richardson is back. Josh Downs should get target share. Don't know if those will be accurate targets. Same with Michael Pittman. Same with Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce might see a deep ball here and there. Trey Sermon is in. He will get touches and opportunities. So if you want to chase touches and opportunities, there you go. He's left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, so he might be still sitting on waivers. Run backs. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill could just house it on any given play, and that's what you're praying for. Devon Achane's back, but they might share the workload more with these running backs because injuries suck, and they don't want the running backs to be banged up at the end of the year, and they're realizing, hey, we got running backs to use. Why not use them? That might happen. Devon Achane was getting a large workload. Remember that Bills game where he's getting touch after touch after touch, and then Tua goes out? They're probably going to mix it up a little bit more. Now they got the feel of Devon Achane getting that injury. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that's what I'm guessing here. I don't like this matchup for these players. Panthers and Commanders. And we're throwing a lot of shit against the wall in this matchup because we got a 51.5 over-under. You can throw it on the Commanders, and the Commanders can push the pace. The Panthers can be in weird games. This is going to be a fun one. You're looking at Deontay Johnson. He's got that rib issue. Is he going to be in? Is he going to be out? You're also looking at Andy Dalton because this is a great matchup for him. He can push it downfield. Chuba, because he's Chuba, he's been running great. You're not going to bench him. No way, shape, or form, even if he runs bad. Xavier Legette's going to get some opportunities. He gets a lot of opportunities around the goal line. He's tough on them drag routes. So if you're hurting at wide receiver and you want to make a gamble, this is a good matchup to make that gamble with. Run backs. Terry McLaurin's been running hot, so of course, Brian Robinson. Is he in or out? Austin Eckler getting opportunities here. Looking good. Going to get work in the passing game. Zach Ertz is that dependable tight end that's always on waivers. And this is a good matchup for him to do something. He'll at least get some workload. Raiders, Rams, 43.5 over under. And things are going to be weird in this matchup. Cooper Kupp's more than likely going to be back. He's more than likely going to be back. We went over the practice clips. If not, he's going to be back very soon. Kyren Williams is going to be the man. And then you got the carousel effect between those other wide receivers, DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington. Pick your favorite wide receiver there because they all do something different in this offense, and it really depends on the flow of the game. Running backs score well against the Raiders. I would not be surprised if Blake Corum does something in this matchup. Run backs, Brock Bowers, of course, one of the top tight ends in fantasy football. Alexander Madison's been getting that work. Trey Tucker, 5+ targets in this matchup. Would let the chips fall where they may when it comes to the production. Chiefs and 49ers. This is going to be a very fun matchup. John Gruden dropped the breakdown in this game. It was very nicey, and that was fun to watch. And this one's going to be a chess match. It's going to be one. This one could be very low scoring. It could be very high scoring. And Vegas is right at 47 over under, or at least DraftKings is, which is pretty much Vegas. That being said, they're expecting it to be a higher scoring game. They're expecting it to break a little bit. I can definitely see that happening. Travis Kelce getting some run. Xavier Worthy as a pop gun start for you for that upside. Same thing with Juju Smith-Schuster. You don't know where the targets are really going to go with the Chiefs. That is point blank. Justin Watson as an upside play, deep threat. Kareem Hunt's getting those touches. He's getting the opportunity. You're probably going to start him as your RB2 flex option in a lot of cases, but you're not going to really like it because of the 49ers defense, but the volume's going to be there. Run backs, George Kittle, of course. Jordan Mason getting a lot of volume in this offense, and he's healthy. Isaac Garando is a running back to pay attention to if you're in a deeper format or if you're decimated at running back. Debo, Brandon Ayuk, targets are going to go their way. Debo's going to get the creative touches. Brandon Ayuk's going to get targets downfield. Whether those connect is a different story, but he's Brando Ayuk this year because he hasn't been hitting. He didn't really hit that great last year. He only had 4 wide receiver 1 weeks. A lot of people took him over the moon. I told you to sell him in Dynasty because the value was too high compared to the production. That being said, that could be a game where he hits, but the Chiefs shut down wide receivers. I look for Debo to get those short to intermediate targets. Watch out for Ricky Pearsall. This should be his first game, and maybe they get a little jiggy with it with him. Jets and Steelers, you're staying away from this game. You're just starting Breece Hall and maybe Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson will get targets and workload, but it could be nasty. Devonta Adams is going to be out there. He's going to get some targets and opportunity. This could be a nasty matchup on both ends. We got Russell Wilson back, and this could make things a weird dichotomy, because that offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Russell Wilson's mobility, which isn't bad, but it's a lot different from Justin Fields, could impact things against this Jets defense. George Pickens is going to get targets. They're going to be nice, accurate targets to him, but we just got to be able to get them targets off, and we got to get that volume to him, which he should be. Najee Harris for the touches, but you're not really loving it. You're not really loving this game. The only player I'm really feeling is Breece Hall, and I'm not really loving it as much as I usually am for him. But Ravens and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 49.5 over under. Ball should fly a little bit in this matchup. Zay Flowers should be getting his. He's running hot right now. Rashad Bateman is a good upside gamble in your benches, especially in deeper leagues, 14-teamers, 16-teamers, if you want to try that out. He's been looking good. At 3 of the last 4 games, he's been hitting in fantasy. Derrick Henry, of course. Mark Andrews, tight end's going to tight end. It's a carousel effect for them at the tight end spot. I don't really trust it, but you got to roll how you got to roll. Run backs on the other side. Chris Godwin, because, of course, Bucky Irvin, Rachaad White, and Tucker. Sean Tucker is my favorite out of this backfield right now, and I love Bucky Irvin. But they're going to roll with the hot hand right now. That's what they're saying. Each running back should get a series. Supposedly, that's what they said in the media. It's just a gamble. It's just a gamble. I can't really tell you what's going to happen between the 3. I can't do that. If I told you that, I'd be lying. It's a gamble. They're going to roll with the hot hand. That's all I know. Pick your poison there. Mike Evans is going to get deep balls. This could be a high-scoring game. There's also potential for it to be a lower-scoring one, but both teams have been in a lot of shootouts this year. James Conner for the Cardinals against the Chargers. He is the sure thing when it comes to touches. Marvin Harrison Jr. should be getting some run. He's back from the concussion. Michael Wilson on the outside. Greg Dortch hasn't hit since like week 1. That being said, he's due. Michael Wilson's been running a lot of snaps. Run backs. J.K. Dobbins is getting a lot of workload. They're going to use him a lot. But Kamani Vidal might suck up some more touches. They better start doing that if they want J.K. Dobbins for the rest of the season. Quentin Johnston, is he going to be in? Is he going to be out? Same thing with Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey, if he's in, he might be getting more touches. Josh Palmer's a guy to look at if you're really hurting at wide receiver. But we got a 44 over-under here, and it might be ugly. Palmer's got rapport with Justin Herbert, though, so that's something you may want to look at there. That could be a sneaky option for you in fantasy football because there could be some upside in this matchup for him. If Quentin Johnston or Ladd McConkey is out, we do have some extra time for this matchup. But those are the matchups in place for Week 7. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.